From Careco TV, one of the longest running outdoor programs on television today. Exploring the country and the coast in search of adventures. From the mountains of the great Northwest to the shores of the Atlantic Ocean. This is Americana Outdoors, presented by Garmin. Well, we're in Kentucky on the opening week of an archery velvet deer hunt. Wade Middleton and Americana Outdoors crew traveled from Texas to meet up with Yamaha ATV and side-by-side Steve Nessl, who hauled Wolverine X4 and the all-new Wolverine X2 all the way from Georgia. Well, this is Steve's first time to go after velvet deer in Kentucky's early season.
I've always wanted to do, although I sort of rode Wade's coattails into this trip because he has got some sort of crazy love affair with velvet bucks. And I think everybody does, but you'd probably be hard-pressed to find somebody who does as much as Wade.
You know, as a little kid growing up, I've always loved to read stories and watch TV shows and just learn and hear about everything the outdoors, fishing and hunting. And during those times, I think I began to have visions and dreams of quite a few adventures that I wanted to go on in life. And one of them was always to go on an early season velvet hunt. Finally, when I was working with the Cabela's group, they said, man, talk to the Worldwide Trophy Adventures team. Got a hold of them, they lined me up and said, this is the place you want to go, Salt River Outfitters over in Kentucky. And I knew Kentucky had a season that allowed you an opportunity for bow hunting to be able to get a velvet buck. Came over last year, and the hunt and the atmosphere and the backdrop surpassed even my expectations. We traveled in 2 or 3 days early. We got in here early to be able to adjust some of the video stands for the camera guys so we're set up properly. We got in here early to be able to set up our camp so that, number one, we could be comfortable because we knew the weather conditions were going to be in the hundreds for a heat index, and there was rain in the forecast, and we were planning on, we were going to be here for a week. And you know, the older I get, the more comfortable I want to be. Don't get me wrong, I want some creature comforts when I go out hunting now.
Well, Wade and Steve they're staying in tents, and they're these big Cabela's tents that they're sleeping in. So when we get here, Wade says, Jeffy and Michael, y'all go set the tents up. Yeah, well, that didn't start out so well. You know, I'm one of them that's not real good with reading instructions. You know, I kind of a hands-on person, do it yourself. Yeah, we can figure this out, Michael. About 5 minutes into it, and I was almost out of the picture. I almost left it to Michael to do it himself. So, you know, we calmed down, got the instructions out. It was easy to put up. You just gotta read the instructions. When you start on pole D, when you're supposed to start on pole A, it don't work very good. But if you go by the instructions, 15 minutes we had the tent put up. Big, nice, pretty tent, staked down, perfect. And not too far from them, we're getting to stay in air-conditioned trailers, so they're kind of roughing it a little bit, and we're living the high life.
Well, the setup has been great for the camera guys because, you know, we had to grab a couple extra blankets to keep warm at night. Because, I mean, with that AC going, it keeps you real nice and cold. It's been great for us.
A couple of spots we had identified were really based around trail cam pics and shooters that we knew were in the area. So the first night for me, there was a real tall 8, still in velvet, at least last we saw him. And after visiting, checking cameras, I really love this spot. It was me and Jeff gonna sit back to back up in a tree, and it's just way up in a stand, and we could shoot out of both sides. And still really cool to see some bucks in velvet, even though we had a small little 8 and then a 9 came in later, but not our shooter. There was just a huge bodied 8 out there. His horns just really didn't match his body. He was probably on his way down. You know, we just didn't really get the itch to get the bow up on that guy, and we didn't see our shooter either. So, counted as a success. I felt like we did a really good job as hunters as not getting spotted because the deer were looking at each other through the woods, and all they had to do was look a little bit up. All we had to do was move a little too much, and we would have been busted. And Wade's actually been hunting right near camp, just in the back of the property where we're camping. They had seen some trail cam pics of some good bucks. And so he had decided to stay over there.
As we start going through the scouting camera pictures, I'm like, oh, I like that. Oh, I like that deer. Oh, I like that deer. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, I love that deer. This magnificent 10-point. I mean, wide, tall tines, mature, and he's in velvet. The very first night sitting in the stand, I mean, it's beautiful. You're looking up this little draw, bedding area on the right. It's hot, but we're in the deer stand, and there's a doe coming in here, and there's another one coming over there, and I mean, here comes this big 8-point. He comes up this hill, and he's posing out there, and I'm looking at him, I'm thinking, man, that's a deer in velvet. That's a perfect deer. I've been here an hour. In the back of my head, there's this little voice. He's a little guy, a little deer, camouflage dude on my shoulder. He goes, that's not the 10, that's not the 10, that's not the 10. The little dude talked me out of shooting the 8-point. And, you know, we go back and we're all reliving the moments, talking to Steve about his hunt, and that little guy's kind of laughing at me. He goes, you could have shot one in velvet right then. And I could have. And I probably should have at that point, but I didn't. I was enamored and in love with this 10-point that I was hoping to have an encounter with as day 2, day 3, and day 4 begin to unfold.
And the first day of opening week is in the book. But there's still a lot more of velvet deer hunting in Kentucky coming up.
How do you aim a 36-yard shot with a 30-yard fixed pin at a 15-degree angle with a 7-inch holdover without moving a single pin? Easy. You get one of these. Zero, the auto-ranging digital bow sight from Garmin.
As people who love the outdoors, we know what we stand for. We stand for fish, wildlife, and conserving the places they call home. We stand for the traditions we inherited and that we must pass on. We stand for great gear, fair prices, expert service, and memorable experiences. At Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's, we stand together for you.
Americana Outdoors, presented by Garmin, is brought to you by Garmin Zero. Leave the guesswork behind. Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here. Performance Center by Smith & Wesson. Performance when it matters most. And by Yamaha's proven off-road ATV and side-by-side vehicles. Welcome back to Americana Outdoors. This week we're set up camp in a remote area near Kentucky River, around 15 miles north of Frankfort, Kentucky, searching for velvet bucks.
We're hunting with the outfitter, Salt River Outfitters, and he's got a pretty cool lodge. He's probably about 45 minutes from where we're at, to be honest with you. So we went over there the night before opening day and hung out with those guys.
We tease everybody every year about how the opening week of velvet's not necessarily a hunt, it's more of a family reunion. So we always throw a party, you know, to kind of kick off the velvet hunt. That Friday night, we'll have somebody come out and try to do a concert. We cook some hamburgers, hot dogs, get everybody to come out, and it's more of a family deal. You know, everybody calls it the family reunion.
Man, I'm here to have a good time. Come out here, we enjoy it every time we come out and hang out at Salt River Outfitters and come shoot some deer.
It's just one of the best opportunities in the country to kill a buck in velvet, and it's just a time I don't want to miss. The food, family, friendship, big bucks, Salt River Outfitters, that's why I'm here.
It's day 2 of the opening week, and Wade decided to give the stand he was hunting yesterday one more chance.
The weather forecast is the same. I think it's 2 degrees warmer as we get ready for day 2. Going to the stand, you're just sweating going in, but you're going deer hunting. That's such a cool thing. You climb up in the stand and you know you're waiting for the shadows to get long. You know, the bigger bucks will show up, but it happens so often at night, and it happens so often right in the evening. And when you look at scouting pictures, so many of them are nocturnal at 11 o'clock and 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. But he's there, he's in the area, and you're just hoping that's the day he gets up early. Sunset's at like 10 after 8 roughly, and All of a sudden, I'm like, there's a big buck, there he is. I mean, I could see these antlers coming through the hay, and here's another one, and then I think there's another one, and I think there's 4 deer out there now, but they're just shaped, and they're just crossing around out there, and it was mayhem in my mind. The story, ironically enough, the next day when I pulled that card, that 8-point from the night before and an 11-point, a young deer and another deer had all kind of crisscrossed and got up there. I didn't see that in the dark. I mean, because it was dark. It was too dark to take the shot, but the scouting camera told me what was there.
In the meantime, Steve decided to go to another tree stand on the field edge inside the woods. It was supposed to be Wade's original spot, but he changed his mind and stuck around at the stand next to the campsite.
I basically am looking up a hillside, and I've got bucks that can come in from, you know, pretty much 180 degrees, and that's going to afford me some opportunity. A fawn comes in, and they're just big, and these fawns are like Texas-sized does. But this fawn comes in on her own from my right, doe comes in from my left, and they hang out for a while. They're just cruising. You can hear acorns dropping. They're milling around at anywhere from literally 6 yards to 60 yards in our setup. Then a skittish, sketchy doe comes in. I swear, she seemed like she had some issues. She was twitching a lot, and I got so frustrated watching these deer look around at nothing. And I see movement off to my right. Almost right away, I look up, and there's horns, big horns on the one in the back, and I got excited. This is a bigger looking deer. He's got good sized horns on his head. They're in velvet. So just as I scoot, doe looks up, and she didn't like it. I don't know why does don't like movement. I don't know why does concern themselves with me, period, to be honest with you. There's nothing to see here as far as I'm concerned. The does should just stay to themselves, but she hated it. She eventually pulled them away from us, and man, I was down. It was all on me. All on me. We'd done everything right up to that point. I just got a little too anxious, a little too rushed. But it's hard not to, man. When you see a deer come into the setup that you know is one you're going to try and take a shot at, I got ready and blew the opportunity in doing so.
Americana Outdoors and the opening week of an archery velvet deer hunt in Kentucky. We'll be right back after these messages.
The all-new Yamaha Wolverine X4 offers 4 times the proven off-road capability, 4 times the comfort, and 4 times the confidence to deliver 4 times the excitement on your next outdoor adventure.
What does it take to make EverCalm deer scent? It takes a deer farmer who raises whitetails. It takes mixing the special blend of EverCalm, testing each batch.
Smells like deer.
And then pouring each container. Each container is cleaned, examined, and packaged for shipping. It takes the finest deer herd and a great team of people to make the best hunting scent available. EverCalm from Conquest Scents.
Americana Outdoors, presented by Garmin, is brought to you by Thompson Center, America's master gunmaker. Stealth Cam digital scouting cameras, proven. And by Conquest Scents, hunting and dog training scents.
So the cool part about being in a remote camp, got the tents behind us. We've got the trailer mahal for the camera guys who need to charge batteries, have air conditioning. As we get to drive the Wolverines directly out of camp. We're taking them directly from my tent right in front of me. I wake up every morning, I look out and see the all-new Wolverine X2. That's the next generation of side-by-side, you know, the Yamaha's offering, and it's a cool, quiet, versatile workhorse hunting vehicle, chore vehicle, recreational trail ride vehicle. It's a do-it-all machine. It really is. We took it to the creek, we took it to the stands, we checked cameras with it. We used it for what we built it for, and that's a lot of fun. For me, the beauty of it is when it's there and you're using it and you don't think about it too much. That's when you know that it's playing a major role in what you're doing. You take it out of the equation, you're trying to figure out how to get to some of these places in a truck, and all of a sudden you've got a lot of stuff working against you. So it was nice to have these out here. The new Wolverine X2, 2-seater with a dumping cargo bed. We got the 4-seater. You know, we're just growing the lineup from having fun in them to working with them, and if you mash the work and the fun up together and you get hunting, is kind of how I look at it. They're handy to have, but they're a heck of a lot of fun to hunt out of too.
Man, camp life in something like this is so fun. You're strategizing, you're talking, you're doing all the little things. You're always working on little projects and shooting your bows and hanging out and getting ready for each hunt. And you know, the preparation for all these hunts, you know, you're trying to stay as scent-free as you possibly can when it's 100 degrees. You're spraying down your clothing all the time because the mosquitoes are just brutal over here. I think they're the size of Boeing 707s, or you know, you're always thinking about the clock ticking in the back of your mind. I got how many hunts and how committed I am. Am I gonna shoot a different deer? What's gonna happen if a different deer teases me?
It's day 3 of the opening week of an early season velvet hunt in Kentucky.
The third day, the winds were bad for that stand, and I felt like I needed to give it a rest anyway, so we went to another stand, a beautiful stand, big hay field. It was actually Monday, Labor Day. You know, we work our way in, drive the Wolverine in, cross this beautiful creek. You hike down this little meadow area. It's right on the edge. The wind is perfect for this stand. You climb way up to the top of it. You know, we're 20, 22 feet up. I mean, you talk about an ambush spot. And it's where Steve had hunted the first day, and it's where this giant 8-point was living at as well. And we're sitting there, and man, I'm hearing little feet rustle coming through the brush, and a doe comes through, and a buck comes by, and a little buck comes by. And I see a deer off in the distance going down a fence line. And, I mean, it's just an incredible set. But my heart and my mind were back in that ladder stand. I mean, if that big 8 that was on the scouting camera would have come in, I'd have drawn and shot him and never hesitated and been happy. But my heart and mind was back at that ladder stand.
Steve decided to go back to the same spot as the day before, hoping to see that shooter buck.
We talked about the deer that had come in, and he's regular to that spot. He's one of the most regular deer to that spot. They don't know why they left. They never looked it up at us. They never saw, you know, what the doe saw. So we decided to go back to that spot again and hope that that deer would come back. And he didn't. It's funny, the third sit, we saw the most deer on my third hunt. We had more than a dozen, 15, 16 deer in front of us for about an hour and a half, but that was it. No shooters, no such luck. Just a bunch of females and their babies. So we waited till dark. We got down and we started making plans for last night.
Well, coming up, time is running out. Find out if Wade and Steve will be able to get Kentucky's velvet bucks on the ground.
When I was in special ops, every item had a purpose, or it got left behind. It's no different today. If it doesn't protect me or help me perform at the highest level, I've got no use for it. Otherwise, I don't come back with whatever it is I set out to get. Wiley X, ballistic rated eyewear.
Americana Outdoors, presented by Garmin, has been brought to you by High Viz. See what you've been missing. 10-Point Crossbow Technologies. Perfection lives here. And by Bradley Smoker. Food smoking made easy.
Come over here, Jeff. Help me.
Hey, that's a good one.
Let's catch. Let's compare.
Ow, man, I dropped mine. But mine is bigger than yours.
Now let's get back on the field with Steve on his last hunt in Kentucky's opening week.
We're going to the place where we first sat the first night. There's a big 8. He's big-bodied older deer. He's horn-wise, he's not huge, but he's, you know, he's a deer that is probably the oldest and biggest deer we've seen. And we'll go sit the last night in Kentucky, which again has been a super tough hunt, but super fun hunt all at the same time. I know those two don't sound like they go together, but they definitely do as far as getting out here early season, seeing a lot of bucks and velvet.
We got about half an hour, 45 minutes worth of good light left at that 8 point, and probably his buddy, the small velvet 8 would come in. They usually had a doe with them. There was another one out there that was semi-regular, and they're gonna be here any second. I look up, and off to the left, there's a shooter buck. And when I say the shooter buck, not the hard-horned 8, there is the shooter buck. There he is at like 50 yards. He was leery, he was spooky, he was cautious, he was skittish. He was not calm. And he milled around, and again, it was almost like he was wondering, why am I the only one here? Now, there was one instance where he was facing left. I had a good shot, and he was probably a little bit obstructed by trees from seeing me. And I probably could have gotten drawn. Would he have been too alert? Would he have ducked it? I don't know, but it was going against everything that I had planned as far as making sure the deer was calm. And the last thing I ever want to do is make a bad shot and wound a deer. He never did. He never came in. He actually ended up blowing. And we're not exactly sure why, but he went off to our left. He got out to about 45, 50 yards. Quartering away, I could see his tail through the trees. He flagged, blew, and took off. He just ran. As soon as he blew, another deer behind us blew, and that was it.
And we're into our 4th hunt. I'm kind of excited because honestly, there's like a 4-degree temperature drop. I mean, that's a cold front over here, so I'm pretty jacked up, but here's still hot. You're going to the stand. You get in about 3 hours early every time, and I know the pattern. I know where these deer are bedding. I'm watching deer come out of this area now. I know where the trail is that they come out. And I'm just staring at it, and here comes a doe and a fawn across, and you know, I'm waiting for the shadows to get longer. And here pops out a deer coming across the field. And this deer's walking in, and I'm thinking, oh man, I'm grabbing my bow, and I'm hooking my release on, my heart's pounding, I'm studying this deer, and I'm thinking, I haven't seen this deer in daylight. Come to find out it's that 11 point from the 2 nights before that got in that late night deal. And I knew, because I had seen the 8 and the 11 and body size wise, I was like, man, I don't think it's a very old deer. As I've gotten older, I'm trying to manage deer and not shoot young deer. When I see a magnificent 11 point out there, it actually had a 12th point, he had a little split that I think is 2 years old. In my mind, I can visualize what this deer would look like if he gets smart and lives in these hills and these ridges and valleys and then shows back up when he's 5. I mean, you talk about a monarch of the woods. After I identified it, I just sit there and enjoyed the show. I knew I was making the right decision. I was totally at peace, totally calm, even if I went home empty-handed.
No, I didn't get a shot. I didn't get a deer, but I did see some really cool bucks. I had some really cool experiences in the stand. Kentucky early season opening day velvet. I mean, there's nothing wrong with what happened or what went down out here. It was good times all across the board. It's been really fun. It's been a great time. It's always better when you get to spend time with people you can, like I say, cut up with and have fun with. So we're gonna leave Kentucky without a deer, but a ton of memories, and a huge desire to come back and do it again. It's always fun when you leave someplace hoping, you know, fingers crossed, that you get to do it again. And this is one of those hunting experiences where I hope to have an opportunity to do it again.
Thank you for watching, and join us next week on a new episode of Americana Outdoors. Americana Outdoors is a Careco TV production.
Introducing the Stealth NXT, the narrowest and most accurate 10-point crossbow ever. Measuring an ultra-narrow 6 inches wide, the Stealth NXT unleashes devastating speeds up to 410 feet per second, generating jaw-dropping kinetic energy and match-grade downrange accuracy. all on a whisper-quiet shot, 3 times quieter than the competition. The all-new Stealth NXT from 10-Point.
Many said that we were just obsessed when we started, that there had to be an easier way to smoke food. As time passed, the Bradley family created a lineup of Bradley electric smokers that has made it easier for the novice or even expert chef to get perfect results every time they use it. Grab yourself a Bradley smoker and take your cooking to an all-new level.
We demand a lot from the products that we use on our adventures around the world. When it comes to keeping things seriously cold, we rely on Angle Coolers, who have for over 50 years kept things cold. Angle Coolers, the original high-performance cooler.
Protect it or lose it.
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 Protect it
or lose it.
Protect it or lose it.
Introducing Lightwave H3 technology from high-vis sights. The Lightwave H3 sight combines tritium with the light pipe technology high-vis is known for to give you 24 hours of illumination. Now you can have the advantage of day and night performance all in one sight system. The new Lightwave H3 ensures fast sight acquisition and a bright sight picture day or night. Learn more at highvissights.com and see what you've been missing.
Purina's Quick Draw is the perfect solution for attracting deer to your location and providing them with the essential nutrients that will encourage their growth.
Use these blocks where you can, and I promise you, not only are you going to see more game, but the game's going to benefit from you placing it out.
At Sawyer, we use the best technology to make simple products that keep you going regardless of your journey. So whether you're boating, hiking, fishing, camping, or hunting, we keep you outdoors with a full lineup of products to both protect you and make the outdoors more enjoyable. Sawyer, we keep you outdoors.
We plan all year for this. We hone our skills. We have confidence in the gear we choose. We pour over thousands of images and videos. When the time comes, will you be ready? Introducing the all-new 4K camera by Stealth Cam. Proven.
Neither Purinas or Mummies are newcomers in the world of wildlife management. In fact, both our brands have decades of experience tackling the tough questions when it comes to animal nutrition and game management programs. Let our brands help you create healthier animals and help improve your game management practices. Reach out to the team at Mummies at one of their store locations or give us a call and ask how we can help you reach your game management dreams.
Tired of forgetting to set a recording or missing the latest episode of your favorite outdoors show? Check out Outdoor Action today. Never miss a second of shows like Americana Outdoors, Cabela's Fisherman's Handbook, and Whitetail Diaries. All of this at the press of a button, without a subscription fee required. Start watching your favorite shows when you want to watch them by going to OutdoorAction.com or through the Outdoor Action channel on any Roku device.
You never know when you might need different camo, but who wants to pack it all?
That's why there's VersaSkin's multi-camo outerwear. The VersaSkin's base jacket and pant come in Realtree Edge, but can be quickly skinned for waterfowling, blaze, or snow. VersaSkin's patented quick switch system lets you change camos within 2 minutes. So there's no need to buy or pack multiple camouflage outfits. VersaSkins. Just change the skin for the season you're in.
From out on the water, straight to the grill, and everywhere in between, Americana Outdoors has you covered. Our newly designed website features instructional videos, product reviews, and cooking recipes from some of the top contributors in the business. For even more Americana Outdoors content, sign up for the monthly e-magazine, featuring the latest outdoor news and trending topics in the industry. Don't miss out on your chance to learn from the pros. Visit AmericanaOutdoors.com now.